pieces of pie, but it was really more like a plate of whipped cream with pie center
underneath somewhere.
Yeah, if you dug down.
Did you have to go excavating for?
I did have to go excavating for it. And on that note, we're live.
Hey, Internet.
Hello, Facebook people. We have one viewer. It might be me.
No, I think it's me.
Well, maybe
I'm
it's
viewing us. Maybe
it's neither of us. I'm also viewing us. So just in case it's someone else, hi, Liz. I'm assuming that's your name, stranger on the internet. Welcome to episode number 2 of Bourbon and Zeppelins. I am one of your hosts, David Hughes, and this is...
I'm Jeremy Unger. Welcome to the internet. All of it.
All of it.
All of the internet.
If you are one of the person who watched last week's episode, maybe, you sort of know what you got yourself into here.
Trouble.
But we are going to try to sort of tighten things up. We went a little bit long last week, I'd say. Like an hour 45, hour 50, something like that. Way too long.
We were way too passionate about the things we were talking about.
We should have known that gun control isn't the kind of thing you can just sort of, knock out a solution to in
quick, like.
Yeah, we talked about that for like half an hour easy, and I managed.
Are we revisiting that topic? I thought I saw that in the show notes.
Yeah, I wanted to just clarify my stance on it because we talked about it a lot, and maybe, I think maybe someone might, interpret what I said not the way I meant it to be taken. Because I basically came to the conclusion that had the states implemented gun control, and this is I'm paraphrasing myself from the past, had they implemented gun control, it wouldn't have stopped this shooting. Because the guy didn't have any flags. And I just wanted to be clear that I'm talking about, because the gun control conversation it always starts with like it's a mental illness thing, and so we should just not sell guns to people who are mentally unfit, right? And so that's always like phase one, I think, of like gun control. If the states were going to implement something,
right,
that's probably where they would start. And I just don't think that would have helped in this particular case. This guy apparently had no red flags, nothing in his history, for a reason to not sell this guy a gun. But I don't want people to think that I'm saying that gun control doesn't necessarily work. That's
right
all.
Now,
so that's the only thing I wanted to clarify.
All right. So to clarify, you're not saying sell guns to mentally unbalanced people.
No, I'm saying I just want to be clear that I'm not saying that gun control doesn't work. I do believe that gun control will reduce gun violence.
Right. Yep.
I'm just, in this particular case, assuming that the states had implemented something like people who we consider to be mentally unfit or have a mental illness, we won't sell them guns. That wouldn't have solved this problem.
Right.
But one thing that gun control, hey,
did we go live on Twitch, by the way?
No, we didn't go live on Twitch. We're only going live on Facebook.
Oh, we're only doing Facebook today.
We're only doing Facebook. So if you're watching this on Facebook, we're sort of testing things out. We're testing the waters.
I'll stop trying to get the Twitch chat going then.
Yeah, there's no
Twitch chat today.
No Twitch chat. We don't have any followers on Twitch anyway, so no one's missing anything.
That's fine.
So I'm just saying.
All good. Yep. Sorry. My bad.
No, that's fine. But I will say, I don't know if you heard about this story. So in the last couple of days, there was the Texas Tech shooter. Did you hear about this kid?
No. What?
So this wasn't like a mass shooting. So what had happened was there was a kid on Texas Tech. He was on campus, a student
at Texas Tech. Okay.
And on that campus, people are allowed to conceal carry. So this kid had a concealed carry permit, and he got taken down to the police station. And this whole thing is sort of weird. Like, I really need to dig into this more because I'm confused about a few things. But basically, there'd been like a phone call to the cops about a disturbance, and it was like a drug thing. Like, they found marijuana or whatever, so they brought the kid down to the police station to just to be questioned, I think. Like, I don't even know if he was necessarily arrested. He might have been arrested. But all that being said, they brought him to the police station, and the cops didn't search him. So he's sitting in
a holding cell.
He wasn't in a holding cell.
Oh, okay.
He was like at a desk or something.
Okay.
And so there was like 2 cops. One cop got up to go get something. While he's gone, he hears a gunshot. He comes back. His partner has been shot. The kid is gone. And the kid had taken the body cam off of the cop. They found him later. Like the kid's been, they arrested for shooting a cop now. I don't remember off the top of my head if the cop survived or not, or what the level of injury there was. But for a while, there was like an active shooter thing out on Texas Tech. So I would say, from someone who lives in Canada, where it's very difficult to get a handgun, and we don't actually have concealed carry. Like if I did own a handgun,
you are not allowed to conceal carry.
Well, you can't have a handgun that's not locked up unless you're at a range.
Out in the wild.
In Canada. Yeah.
In Canada. Yep.
I'm just saying, like, that kid probably wouldn't have had that handgun. Now, you could say, he could have illegally had a handgun, and sure.
Yeah,
but odds are...
But the thing is, okay, so...
That's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, and with the laws the way they are in Canada, if you get caught with a gun, like with a handgun, that is, there's no excuses. Let's go straight to jail, do not pass go.
Yeah.
You're arrested because you are not allowed to have a handgun that's not, like you say, that's not locked up out in public. So it sort of precludes that whole. It bypasses the whole is this person allowed to carry this like this? Maybe they're properly licensed to do this. No, nobody is.
And it's so difficult to get even just to get a gun license in Canada, to buy a handgun.
Yeah,
a lot of hoops to jump through. You have to get testimonials from people who are active members of the community to vouch for you, and there's courses you have to take and tests you have to write and money you have to pay, and just even doing that, even if it was just a pain in the ass to get a handgun. That's the only reason. I like shooting. Like I said this last time, I like shooting handguns.
Yep.
I'm probably never going to own one because it's such a pain in the ass to get a firearms license in Canada. In all honesty.
Yeah.
And college kids, as I recall, pretty lazy. So
pretty lazy.
Probably lazier than me.
Not going to. Yeah.
Ow. Jeez. Whoops. Sorry. Whoever heard me kick the table.
Technical difficulties.
Anyway, so that was so that's all I sort of wanted to say about that. And also on the top, just because this is how these conversations go, the whole concealed carry, open carry thing, I would rather, I don't have a problem. If you're going to have, a gun society, I think people should open carry. I want to know who has a gun. That's the only thing I don't like about concealed carry, is I would rather know that guy.
You'd rather know that this is going on. Yeah. And then the problem is, then the argument is, well, the bad guys are going to conceal.
They're going to conceal their gun, obviously.
Okay, but then if you...
But now at least I know who a good guy is, right? It's more obvious because they have a gun. That I can see.
That's how we identify the bad guys. They have guns.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
we can get out of this. The other thing I wanted to talk about that we talked about last week, and I think we might have been a little bit critical, was the Rex Tillerson story about him calling President Trump a moron. Because it was that story broke the day before we recorded, I think. And then the day we recorded, they had a press conference. And where Tillerson was sitting next to Trump and said, I never called him a moron. And so we were go ahead.
Sorry, did he actually deny it? I thought the clips that I've heard, and I can't remember if I heard this after our stream or before our stream. It must have been after. The clips that I heard after of that press conference were just him skirting the issue.
Yeah,
just
I don't think
not saying I didn't call him a moron.
Yeah, he didn't come out and say I didn't call him a moron.
He just really
But
skirted
he also wasn't saying, yeah, I called him a moron.
Well, yeah, because...
Right, and I get that he was sort of skirting the issue. So, I mean, it's quite possible, right? And then we were sort of ragging on the media for being, they got to be the first ones to report on something, and people aren't double-checking stuff. And it turns out that maybe there was 19 sources for this. That 19 people spoke to someone at NBC and confirmed this story.
It.
So, sorry guys, maybe we were a little harsh on the media. And then also, I don't know if you hear about this today, where Trump said, he's like, I don't know if it's, he's like, I don't think Tillerson called me a moron, but if he did, he challenged him basically to an IQ test. Right? And so I'm just thinking, if he legitimately didn't say that, why even bring it up again?
I feel like, and on top of that, like, Trump just continues to double down on focusing on things that the president doesn't need to focus on.
Yeah.
Like
does
call
he
him a
not
moron, not call him a moron. Trump's response should have been, who cares?
Yeah.
Can we do some presidential stuff now? Who cares?
I don't think he's ever said that in his life.
No, I know.
Can we do some presidential stuff?
No, and I hate that. It makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, that was just a couple things I wanted to touch on from last week. Was just, I do believe that gun control works. Don't think it would have stopped the Vegas shooting, and yeah, maybe Tillerson actually did call him a moron.
Could well be.
Could well be. 19 people sort of seemed to indicate that it did happen.
Think it happened,
and Tillerson didn't outright deny it. So
no, in fact, no. Tillerson's like press conference. He like very emphatically, awkwardly skirted the issue of saying, "No, I didn't say that."
Yeah.
So good for him for not,
Yeah.
perjuring himself in front of the press.
Yeah.
I suppose. But at the same time, why? Who cares? Like not even my children
Did you
get
hear
so
why
fixated
he called
on
him a moron?
who called who a moron. No, why did?
So this is actually pretty interesting. So apparently, Trump saw a PowerPoint presentation about like their nuclear capability, and it had something to do with Obama had said we'll invest X amount of dollars into our nuclear program. And Trump wanted to multiply that by 10. He wants to expand the amount
Their
of
capability
their nuclear capability by tenfold.
He
and
should work
apparently that was what prompted Tillerson to call him a moron.
He's a moron. Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, Trump should work for Apple. Everything's 10 times better every year.
I guess, but I don't think I want Apple to have nukes either. To be fair, they'll look really nice, and they will be made in Cupertino. Well, designed in Cupertino.
They'll be designed in Cupertino, made in China,
yeah,
shipped to America, assembled in Germany.
Be space gray,
Space gray,
and rose gold,
rose gold nukes.
rose gold nukes, suitcase nukes.
Yeah, but after 2 years, the operating system will work so slowly that
That's true.
They'll be effectively useless.
Yeah, all the foreign agents that have their suitcase bombs are going to be like, I don't want to update my iOS right
Don't
now.
update.
Don't update. It'll never run. I got to get Facebook off of this thing. It's just crushing the performance. It's killing my battery.
So, okay, is it Facebook's fault or is it Apple's fault?
Yeah.
That seems to be a common.
It's both of their faults.
They're just both jerks. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, Facebook is just bad for developers. Like if you ever get asked by a client to build them a Facebook-based app, don't do it. Just say no. It is not worth the headache because Facebook just changes their API. It doesn't tell anybody. So if you build a bunch of stuff, if you're a programmer and you're using an API, you are relying on that to work. And then when it stops working, clients blame you, the programmer, because they don't care that Facebook just was like, no, this API, this endpoint no longer exists.
And I mean, similar experiences with Apple in there. If you build an Apple app, it works, and then Apple updates their API, and so all of their back end, and suddenly it doesn't work anymore. And they're not as
Apple tends to at least warn you. They give you a heads up.
And give you the documentation ahead of time. Yep.
Facebook doesn't do that. It's just
really.
it's just now it doesn't work. Sorry.
Hey, we made some great changes.
Yeah, they just turn it off, and no one knows until it's off, and then you get a phone call from somebody that says,
From
hey,
clients say, hey, why doesn't my app work anymore? Well,
no, that's a good question.
so let me tell you, there are a bunch of
just
moving parts in this.
Pro tip from me to you:
Excellent.
leave Facebook development to some other poor sucker.
Yeah, we haven't ever gotten into that one.
Yeah.
Here at home, we've so Energy East, our pipeline that's going to get Alberta oil out to ports in eastern Canada. It's firmly dead now. Hey,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Dead in the water.
Did you see Rick Mercer's?
No, I don't watch the CBC.
It came through my Facebook feed.
No.
Through an Ontario Proud post, Rick Mercer is actually ripping up
Oh,
the Liberals.
yeah. I didn't watch it. I did see it sort of go past my feed, though, but I didn't
Yeah.
watch it.
I figured Liberals are really screwing things up when CBC starts
Rick
criticizing,
Mercer is
and Rick Mercer in particular openly is criticizing this. He made some amazing points that I didn't know the Eastern Canada knew about this. He pointed out to Quebec, who was saying that there wasn't enough in it for them. Mm-hmm. He pointed out, how about when Alberta sells all of its oil and pays you $9.1 billion last year in equalization payments? Like, how do you think they have that money to pay you equalization payments? It's because we sell our resources.
Right. Well, I mean, I think this was sort of doomed since Keystone got sort of pushed through. Right? So Keystone, my understanding of Energy East is it was sort of Plan C. So Keystone was Plan A, Trans Mountain to BC was Plan B, and Energy East, excuse me, was Plan C.
So we can't get our oil out anywhere now.
Well, if Keystone goes, then we can ship it to the States.
Right. Well, that's great, because we just the oil that we need to have, we'll just keep importing it from the Middle East.
The thing is, that oil that we were going to be sending bitumen out to the east, and that was just going to get shipped out. That wasn't going. That wasn't staying in
Fair
Canada.
Point. That
right?
wasn't staying in Canada.
We were still buying oil. And if they need oil, they can stop selling oil to the States out east and use their own oil. Ultimately, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right, I get
True
where
story.
people are coming from. Hey, I would prefer that. Yeah, let's use our own resources. Let's sell the stuff that we. But I think it's also very clear that the world's attitude towards oil has changed considerably in terms of its impact on climate change and things of that nature. So there's a bigger push nowadays for green energy. Google announced today, I believe, that they are 100% renewable energy.
Whoa.
Lego, they were actually making an excess of energy from renewables last year.
No.
So there's a very large push amongst large corporations to get off the grid and to use renewables. And as much as Albertans want, especially it's our whole economy is basically based on oil and gas. I mean, that's pretty fair to say.
At this point,
we need to make some changes. We can't just expect that people want to buy oil anymore. People want renewables.
right.
Governments especially want renewables because it looks good for them. Honestly, you get political points for that. And you can argue that it's good for the economy, and it would be. But it's also, there's more at stake here than money and jobs, unfortunately. And I think what needs to happen, and this comes down to our provincial government as well as our federal government, is we need to start retraining our workforce. We've got all these oil and gas guys that all only know oil and gas. And we need to find a way to get out of oil and gas because this gravy train, I think, has run out of steam.
Although,
I don't know how to do that, by the way. I'm just saying.
That transition is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I think globally, we're not at the end of the track yet. if we're going to continue on with the train metaphor.
Sure.
I don't think we've run out of track globally because we can't get away from using fossil fuels at this point in time. Quite apart from the whole political struggle, that there's still auto manufacturers, oil companies. There's a lot of people that are going to lose a lot of revenue if we moved away from fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. So that's going to hinder the shift. Oil is going to be in our reality for decades yet.
Oh, sure. I mean, there's still tons of petroleum products.
Right.
Even if cars are 100% electric, tires are still made out of oil, right? Like
Tupperware is still going to need material.
Yeah, and cheese whiz.
DuPont makes lots of other stuff.
Right.
Exactly.
Plenty of foodstuffs.
Plenty of foodstuffs. Whipped cream in a can.
It's the best kind.
And so, thinking in those terms, globally, which fossil fuels are we going to use? And Jason Kenney, the new leader of the one of the candidates.
I was going to say, I don't think he's the leader.
He's not the leader yet, but one of the candidates
Yeah.
For our Conservative Party in Alberta here, pivoted, I think, very smartly. He's positioning Alberta oil as ethical oil, as opposed to some of the stuff that you get from other places in the world. Fine, it's not in our backyard, but if the impact on the environment from pulling stuff out of the ground in Alberta is X, and it's 3X when you pull it out of the ground in some of these less developed places, then doesn't it make sense from a global environmental impact to use our less harmful oil than some of the stuff that's coming out?
Plus, we have less human rights violations, generally speaking, than where
a
lot of these places.
There are a couple of different pieces of this puzzle that he can continue on this idea that ours is ethical oil. I thought it was a really smart positioning of ethical versus sort of
But not the problem is we have to convince people that they want to, because I bet you, knowing how OPEC works, that they can sell their oil for cheaper than we can. Right? So then we need to convince people that it's worth spending the extra bucks for ethical oil. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be, but there's still bottom lines.
And
right?
and right there, that's the piece that just gripes my wagger, is we're going to all get on the bandwagon about doing the environmentally responsible regardless of how much it costs. We're going to tax carbon. We're going to do all. Mm-hmm. So the environment is the number one priority when we're talking about renewable versus fossil.
Yep.
But when we're talking about fossil versus fossil, to have less of a negative impact on the environment isn't worth spending the extra money all of a sudden when you're talking fossil.
I'm a real cynic, especially when it comes to corporate interests. So like I work for a corporation. I'm not going to name them, but they do things, and I'm like, okay, I get that we're doing this because it looks good, but I also understand that there's still a bottom line. If it's a publicly traded company, they're beholden to shareholders as well as the board. And lots of questions get asked when they're like, our profits could be 10% higher if we bought oil from Nigeria instead of oil from Alberta. And then you got to answer that question. And I believe in the States. I don't know if this is true. I heard this years ago, and I've never been able to confirm it. But you're, I think, like a financial whiz kid.
Once upon a time.
You might know this.
Okay.
I'd heard that if you are a publicly traded company in the States, you were legally required to make decisions that would help drive the stock price up, even if they were, I'm not going to say illegal, but like ethics couldn't come really into play. Like legality could, but if you like turn down the opportunity to make a little bit of extra money, because you don't like the politics in Saudi Arabia,
to choose that, it depends. There's a couple of different scenarios. Acting in a fiduciary responsibility, which is the financial best interest of the entity. Sometimes you're bound to those things. Investment advisors often get stuck in having to do that. There are mandates that can help guide you that don't always point to just the bottom line. So ethical mutual funds, for example, are something where there's a mandate written into the mutual fund saying we don't invest in X, Y, and Z as part of the function of this financial instrument. So if it's clearly outlined sort of in the terms of, terms and agreement, then you can sometimes get around that. But no, sometimes there are situations that come about that, ethics be damned, the mandate is profit, and you can get a little hamstrung that way.
Yeah.
It's nice to see when companies start broadening the scope of what they're bound by.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, like that, there's some other things in this world other than just making a buck.
Yeah.
When you think about what the world is that you're going to leave for your kids, type thing, right? So we'll see where that goes and how much that gets affected. You look at companies like the Virgin Group, Virgin Enterprises. They write into almost all of their companies that they're doing. There needs to be like a social ethical good.
Okay.
And somehow Sir Richard Branson has managed to be a billionaire regardless of legitimately making business decisions that first try to do good, and they just sort of take on faith that profits will follow after as long as we do the right thing first. And you can find tons of examples.
I wish more CEOs could look at that and then trust that it works.
Yeah. Well, and the stupid thing is you look at
CEOs and board members. I guess.
You look at studies all over, and there are tons of studies that show if you adopt that model with your employees, their productivity goes up. Right? You take care of your employees first. They take care of your customers. If you holistically adopt that type of a corporate culture, those are the most profitable companies.
Yeah.
It's so against what I think is a lingering mentality from the 80s about like everything comes down to the bottom dollar, financial incentives. There's a great social economist, Dan Ariely, did a study about what motivates creative thinking.
Yeah.
And he found the long and the short of it is he found that except in the most basic rudimentary tasks, so production workers who do, take peg, put in hole, take peg, put in hole. Anytime you need even the smallest amount of creative thinking about your job, financial incentives reduce the amount of productivity that the employees have. So if you want your employees to think creatively, you have to find other ways to motivate them outside of money.
Oh, absolutely. Like I used to work for a small startup, and I mean, money's not the kind of thing you can get from most startups anyway.
Right.
And, they used to always be like, oh, we can't give you, more money. And I was like, hey, give me freedom.
Yeah. Autonomy. That's one of there's a couple of like the major ones, and autonomy was.
Absolutely. Like people like to be in charge of their own world, right? Whatever that world might be. But, yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I would like more money because I got a mortgage I got to pay. But, like I don't, I mean, I guess I don't need more money, but, it would be nice to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Money does buy happiness.
Money buys security, and security is nice. Security makes you feel good.
Security makes you feel good.
I'll put it makes you feel secure.
Makes you feel happy.
Okay. Well, I think we did a real good hot take on a, not really a hot take, it's a halfway hot take, a lukewarm take on Energy East. Do you want to talk about kneeling?
Only because it happened again.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about specifically the Penguins. So it's the Penguins didn't kneel. But, well, okay, so I'm assuming whoever's watching this is familiar with the kneeling protest that started with Colin
It's gonna be
Kaepernick.
the kneeling debacle of 2016, 17.
Oh, it's getting crazy. And then, all right, so Kaepernick got fired, basically. Well, just didn't get hired.
Okay, sorry. Quick side note.
Yeah,
I know very little about NFL.
sure.
Is Kaepernick a good quarterback?
Yes. He's good enough to be playing in the NFL right now. There's arguably worse quarterbacks who are currently employed in the NFL. He's not the best quarterback in the league. I'm not saying that, but there's a couple of guys, and I couldn't name them, to be totally honest with you. I'm not that big of a football guy, but reading the pundit tree of sports guys,
Yeah.
they're like, he should be playing.
Okay.
I'd say that's like the majority opinion of what I've read anyway.
Okay, because I've heard that he was sort of like bottom of the barrel in terms of quarterbacks, but I don't know, and I've only heard that from one source.
So my understanding is he's probably in like the lower half, maybe, of quarterbacks.
Well, fine, you
but
still need both halves of the.
Yeah. I'm just saying, but he's good enough to start for a handful of teams.
Okay.
I think that's fair to say about Colin Kaepernick. So currently he's without a team.
Right.
And, of course, so he's protesting, and this is kind of the issue, is a lot of people don't seem to know what he's protesting. But his protest started because he saw inequality. Specifically, he was protesting police violence against black people of color in the States.
Okay. Yep.
And he started his protest by sitting on the bench during the anthem. And that made people angry. And he got a phone call. He got contacted by a soldier who was like, look, I understand why you're doing what you're doing. I don't think sitting during the anthem is the best thing to do. And he suggested kneeling to him because when they have a fallen soldier, they kneel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
I did read this story.
Right. There's like a ton of articles online you can read about it. I don't remember the guy's name. I'm sure I could Google it because I have a computer in front of me, but whatever. At any rate, he sort of suggested that Kaepernick should kneel instead because it's more respectful to the military. So Kaepernick started his kneeling protest.
Took the advice.
Still a problem for a lot of people. So he winds up not having a job. And then this year we have a couple more guys kneeling during the anthem. And this becomes a big issue, and Trump does not like this.
He's made an opinion.
The spin from, really, like, I guess the alt-right, not extreme Republican, but a lot of Republicans, and even members of the military feel as though it's more of a disrespect of the anthem and the flag, and if you love your country, you shouldn't disrespect those things. A lot of people are also twisting it a bit to say he's protesting the anthem or he's protesting the flag, which isn't accurate. He's protesting during the anthem, which is different than protesting the anthem. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people not making that distinction.
Now, if you're protesting during the anthem, could it be said that you are disrespecting the anthem?
Oh, I mean, yeah. You could say that about anything, really.
Right. But so, I mean, that's I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but that's how they're getting to. We're protesting, like, okay, yes.
Absolutely. Like, that's how they got there initially, I think, was you're doing it during the anthem, and that's disrespectful. And then
to the anthem, to the flag, and
then it's like a game of telephone, right? And people are like, he's protesting the anthem. Screw that guy.
Yeah, which,
Right? So we had a couple more guys kneeling. I don't even remember who it was who was doing it this season. Then Trump sort of flew off the handle, sent out a tweet. He didn't send out a tweet. I think it was during a speech. He called them sons of bitches.
Yeah, he did.
And a lot of football players weren't keen on that. So then there was like a weekend of solidarity where all these guys were coming out of the woodwork to kneel or lock arms and otherwise protest during the anthem.
Right.
And so I think a bit of the message got lost in that, because now people are looking at it going, oh, these guys are protesting against the president, Right, and I get why people would think that, right? Because these guys weren't protesting before, and they were protesting in response to something Trump said.
Right. Which, quite frankly, that is protesting the president, is it not?
It is, but I mean, they could have also just said, you know what, we were on this guy's side to start with, and now we feel it's time to stand in solidarity with him about what we believe is an issue with police and people of color in the United States.
Right.
But there's and this is, I sort of touched on this a bit earlier, is there's a communication issue where people don't know this or understand this.
Right.
And I'm only kind of assuming, but I mean, it's also fair to say that, that there was a response to what Trump said, obviously.
Yeah.
Because the owners wouldn't have been out there locking arms with them and or kneeling with them. So then a few things have happened in the last week that are interesting about this. So first is Mike Pence goes to a football game.
That's not the interesting part.
No. The interesting part was when he left the football game shortly after the anthem. So there's some funny things that happen here. So Mike Pence goes to an Indianapolis Colts, San Francisco 49ers game, which is Kaepernick's old team, the 49ers. That's the last team he played.
Right, yeah.
And I think he might have tweeted something about, I hope there's not a protest or whatever, but that's sort of neither here nor there. So he's there, and he tweets out a photo with him and his wife saying, here to watch the Colts play the 49ers, looking for a great day of football. And then there's some of the 49ers were kneeling. I don't believe any of the Colts did. And then Pence, and his wife get up and leave. And then they send out a tweet saying it was very disrespectful. We're not going to sit around and watch guys play football if they can't respect the country, basically. I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
So the interesting part about this, the picture that he tweeted out at the beginning of the game was 3 years old. He tweeted that out from a game he was at in 2014 with his wife.
Okay.
Right. The press pool that he travels with, they go everywhere with him.
Yep.
They show up at the stadium. They're told not to bother coming inside. They're like, just wait out here.
I'll be right back. Wait in the car. I'll be right back.
They didn't say I'll be right back, but they're just like, just wait here. We got to see what happens, right? Now, the other thing is this game was scheduled to be over at 4:30. Pence had a flight at 4. He wasn't staying for the whole game anyway.
Right.
He never could have. Even if there was no protests, he was leaving that game early.
Right.
And, of course, this turns into a political thing. So now people are calling Pence a paid protester because basically taxpayers, because, not only, travel aside.
Right.
When a vice president, a sitting vice president, goes to a stadium, Secret Service has to clear the whole stadium. They have to do a security sweep of the whole stadium. That's not free.
No. So, if this was, Pence was planning on going to basically protest the kneeling. This was all planned out. Are they, the administration that is, are they legitimately so incompetent as to miss all of those cues?
Sorry, who's so incompetent?
The administration. So is the administration really so silly as to book Pence on a flight at 4 when the game is scheduled to end at 4:30?
Well, I mean,
the administration, if you're going there to you're going to walk out.
Yeah.
Do you really tell the press not to come in because you're just you can't put that together that people are going to figure out that, oh, you weren't planning on staying? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say one way or the other.
It feels like about 50-50 to me about right now.
Like, you'd think they'd be smarter about it, but I don't think anything's been smart about this whole thing from the presidential side of things.
No, but surely, I don't know. I feel like you can't bungle this so bad that you'd miss those things. But at the same time, you're right. Like they've been bungling lots of stuff. Haven't heard too much from Pence.
No, I don't hear much about
anything in this. I feel like why?
Well, like he sent the tweet out afterwards, and then Trump tweeted about it, saying that Pence was a great patriot for.
So unless Trump sent Pence,
well, that's the theory.
That's right. Okay,
right? That's the idea is Trump was like, go and then leave if they protest, and then we'll make it a big political thing. Because
then we're gonna make sure that this
is how Trump does
make sure that politics. See that feels familiar. This is how Trump would do things. We're gonna make sure that we've won this. Even after the ratings plummeted, and the NFL was losing all kinds of sponsors, and the NFL basically said, "Okay, guys, like we gotta button this up and finish it. Everybody just stand for the anthem," and athletes were standing for the anthem then.
Yeah.
So, Trump,
well, yes and no. I mean, there were still a handful of guys that were protesting. There wasn't a lot of guys.
Yeah, right? but it wasn't like the widespread, like...
No. And so then...
So why... See, so the rational person would say, why would Trump bother, like, sending secret agent Pence to go walk out if they kneel? But... Trump does things like that where he's doubling down.
Well, there was still protests on the weekend, right? Like the NFL, it sort of came out after this whole thing, where the NFL is like, "Hey, like really, you got to stand up during the anthem." They're actually having like a board meeting this week where they're probably going to rewrite
the handbook
rules specifically for anthem behavior.
Because I was under the impression that there already is a section about...
there's something in there, but it's...
They're supposed to stand in an organized fashion during...
I don't know what the word is.
I saw something highlighting in the player's handbook that during the anthem, players are supposed to stand in an organized fashion on the field. So they're not allowed to be in the locker room?
I don't think that's in there yet, because I literally read a thing today where they were talking about adding that. So, like, I mean, I could be really wrong.
Yeah, well, and go figure, there's like all kinds of like information out there, and
yeah, like it's hard to, unless you do a lot of digging in, it's hard to kind of tell. So the second thing, we got to sort of move on a little bit here.
Let's get with it.
So the second thing that happened was Jerry Jones, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, has put out an ultimatum saying if anyone on his team kneels, he's going to bench him.
Okay.
For that game. And according to a reporter who has been speaking to a variety of football players on the Dallas Cowboys organization, they all plan to stand. No one is planning to push back on this, which frankly disappoints me to no end. I would love to see this team really, stick together. Like I'd like to think that if they have someone, and maybe this is the issue, maybe they don't have anyone that fills this role, but someone who, honestly believes in the protest, right? Like they're protesting because they also see police brutality against black men, and that's what they want to protest.
Right.
I would like to think that this team could come together for their teammate and be like, Jerry Jones isn't going to bench all of us. He's not going to bench the whole team. Not going to happen.
You want to see 100% mutiny there, and
I want to see a team come together and show the owner that, like, I mean, the reality is this game is nothing without the players, right? You can't bench an entire team. You just can't do it. You can't bench if they had their top 5 players, if they had all their quarterbacks even. You can't bench all your quarterbacks. Can't do it. Because once you start losing games, that's a real problem for you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that. I guarantee you, like, if their starter took a knee, Jerry Jones, and it was like just him, Jerry Jones would absolutely bench him.
Right.
And I don't think he would continue to do that, though, if they were losing. Like,
okay.
if that starter came out week after week and was like, I'm just going to take a knee.
But, okay, so if they're losing, what's the problem if they're losing?
They lose revenue because they aren't in the playoffs. So they don't make TV money in the playoffs. And generally speaking, teams that are winning sell more jerseys.
So,
although
so what I'm sort of steering towards is they get revenue from the fans.
Yeah.
And what happened last time when everybody was kneeling was fans were walking out of the stadium in droves.
Sure, but I mean, when Colin Kaepernick was first doing his protests, he actually had one of the highest selling jerseys in the league.
Yep.
Right. And
so it's a fickle balance that's also very tenuous.
So this comes down to sort of what we were talking about before, opinion. Where it's, are you doing what's ethical, or are you doing what you believe in? Now, like from the standpoint of, Kaepernick and the guys that are protesting, they aren't doing anything. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. They have freedom of speech in the States, and this is just exercising that freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And they are using a platform where they're going to have eyes on them to do something that's non-destructive and, makes people start to think about, why is this guy kneeling? It's like in my opinion, the perfect protest.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, because no one gets maced, no one gets shot, no one gets beat up.
Yeah. Like this doesn't really affect anyone's day.
Yeah.
Like people complain about, the Black Lives Matter guy blocking streets, which is, something that used to happen, back in the civil rights days. We're being totally honest, right? Like, and it would inconvenience people, and people hated that. Well, this doesn't inconvenience anybody.
No, it really doesn't, and
or it shouldn't inconvenience anybody.
I'll actually, because I'm not sure I'll actually say on the record, the players absolutely should be allowed to and shouldn't be discriminated against for protesting on the field, because that's their right to convey their opinion, to say things that are on their heart, on their minds, and they need to be able to do that with the freedom, regardless of whether it's unpopular.
Yeah, and this is sort of wasn't my idea. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I read something that was starting to compare this to modern day McCarthyism. So the Patriot test.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're really a patriot, you'll stand for the anthem, and if you're not a patriot, you won't, and we're going to fire you. Right? And I don't know if we're quite there yet, but there's shades of it. Like there's definitely parallels.
Stretch
like I'm not going to say like it's very much,
because it's not a witch hunt at this point in McCarthyism like that. That was a full out witch.
But I mean, there's still a patriot test, right? You still had to.
Yeah, and it's a silly one, right?
Right,
yeah.
And that was part of McCarthyism also. So now the third thing we got. Sorry.
Yeah.
The third thing. This is sort of the one that I really wanted to talk about, was the Penguins going to the White House.
Oh, right. Oh, going to the White House part of the Penguins. Yep.
Right. So this wasn't actually a kneeling protest, but it's sort of.
I thought hockey players were starting to kneel.
It's part and parcel. No, but there was a guy that did a fist. Plays for Tampa Bay. He's the only not white guy on Tampa Bay, if we're being honest. But he had his fist up during the anthem. But so there was a whole big controversy because, the basketball teams haven't been like the
other sports teams have.
The Warriors didn't go to the White House. And so, I mean, obviously there's a bit of a racial difference in terms of, who plays what sport, right? Like it's not unfair to say that. Hockey's pretty white. But there was a lot of pressure on Sidney Crosby for him to say, we're not going to go to the White House because of politics. And he chose not to do that, and there was a big backlash there. And I see both sides here. It would be nice to see solidarity amongst athletes, right? Like I can't relate to exactly what it is you're going through, but I understand what you're saying, and and if I was in your position, I wouldn't want people telling me that I couldn't protest, in the NHL, or whatever.
Sure,
right? But I just wanted to outline my dream scenario, and this is the only reason I wanted to talk about this. What I wanted to have happen more than anything, and other sports teams, if you go to the White House, steal my idea. Please, I want someone to do this. I really wanted the Penguins at the White House because, they all stand there, and then Trump's going to turn around at the podium and he's going to talk. I wanted, while Trump was talking, all of them to either lock arms and put their heads down or to all take a knee during his speech just to see what would happen. So and it didn't happen, and I didn't think it was going to happen.
No.
But boy, did I want it to happen. But please, whoever wins the Super Bowl, whoever wins the World Series, whoever wins the NBA championship, please show up as a team, kneel while he's talking.
See, I love that idea mostly just because it's people getting upset about silly things.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes fun to make people get upset about silly things just to point it out.
I just want to know what Trump would do. I just want to see Trump's reaction to that. Because that's carried live, right?
Can he hold it together? And
no. My money's on no.
I think it's a coin toss. Because he's a reality star, so he knows when the camera's rolling, and you're live, and and
he's not showing a lot of restraint lately. I don't think.
On camera?
Well, just in public. His tweets are not.
Tweets aren't in public. Tweets are when he's in the bathroom.
Very public, though.
Well, I know that tweets go out to a public place called the internet, but where
he calls people sons of. Here's what'll. Yeah, he'd probably be fine on camera, and then I bet you a couple days later he'd have a rally in Arizona, and so he'd fly to Tempe or wherever and go to some convention center there and fill it with a bunch of alt-righters, and he would start his campaign, and he would call these guys a bunch of names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there would be a backlash.
Yeah,
but
he would do what he's already been doing. But I think he would turn purpley orange.
Purpley orange? Mauve.
I think he would be irate. He would feel so disrespected. And that's a big thing for him, is he does want people to respect him.
Yeah. He's more than that, he wants people to like him.
Yeah.
In a sort of weird way, because he doesn't do things that make people like him.
No.
So much.
I guess you got to handle, like me for me, Maybe give him credit there where he doesn't want to bend to anybody's will. A lot of people wish they could live their life that way. But a lot of us aren't, a billionaire.
Alleged.
That goes a long way. Yeah, maybe a billionaire. Other billionaires deny he's a billionaire, by the way.
Sorry?
Other billionaires deny that Trump is actually a billionaire.
It doesn't surprise me.
No.
Yeah.
There's a billionaires club. And there's a guy who was writing, it's an author. He was writing a book. Oh, it's the guy that, he's a TV writer. He wrote Billions. I don't know if you've seen that show.
Oh, I've seen at least some of them.
Yeah, so the creator of that show, in researching the one character, he made friends with a billionaire whose name completely escapes me.
Okay.
But he gets to go to these billionaire clubs where they have dinners and play poker for tons of money, right? And so he's talked to a lot of these guys, and he was talking to them about Donald Trump because he still is in contact with he still goes to these parties. And all of them were just yeah, he doesn't have $1 billion. Every single one of them. So, anyways.
Yeah. Anyway. We should get moving.
Do we want to talk? So if we want to keep this to an hour, we've got 5 minutes. So we can push it a bit. We'll go an hour 15 or something. If we do 20 minutes, we can get through the tech topic and the Kickstarter crystal ball.
Okay.
Or do you just want to go straight to Kickstarter crystal ball?
What do we got in our tech topics?
We've got two.
this
We can
year,
just do one. So
or
we've
this
got
week?
either Bell wanting, who are super out of touch, where they think that people are leaving the regulated TV system because people want free content and not because of other reasons, like they don't like how cable companies manage their business.
Like, no,
They don't like service that's supplied to them from Canadian cable companies.
Okay, so that's that story in a nutshell. Bell's completely out of touch.
Yeah, and they want to force ISPs to block websites that they deem as being piracy websites.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right. So that's story one. Story two.
Like, do they not understand how the internet works?
I don't think Bell does.
Like, they really don't.
They really don't get it. Yeah. So
And no, verdict, people are leaving traditional cable companies because I don't want to pay for channels that don't carry stuff when I'm not home.
yeah,
I want my content when I want it.
yeah,
And I only want to have to pay for the content that I want.
yeah. Pay for you want, watch it on demand. That's what I want.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the 21st century, and we've figured out how to do that.
Yeah, and I don't want to watch your commercials. Like
And
that's
no commercial. I'm sorry. Commercials are
like they're on Crave and they drive me crazy. But
yeah. I pay for Netflix because I don't want.
yeah,
I want what I want when I finally get home. When I finally have time to watch some TV, I want to be able to just start it up. And I'm sorry, I don't want commercials. There's plenty of other ways for advertising to work out. Start thinking creatively. But 30-second ad spots, not it, unless you're the Super Bowl. And then I watch almost exclusively for the commercials.
yeah. I mean, that's what I think most people watch them for nowadays.
Exactly. And as soon as there's, for me, news and sports, and as soon as there's a really great way to reliably, like, and it almost has to be, I have to be able to pay for a news and sports service.
Yeah,
Like, I know right now you can live stream pretty much everything you want. If you go to, like, the right part of the internet and all the
Yeah.
rest, you'll find it, and you can through
it's
whatever.
sketchy, but yeah,
It's more effort right now,
Yeah,
honestly, than I want.
it's
I'd
a
rather
pain.
pay.
There is a
10,
service
15
that I
bucks a month.
haven't looked at, and we aren't sponsored by them, so I don't even want to really say their name. There's one called, I don't even know how it's pronounced, Dazen? It's Dazn.
Okay.
And they do streaming of a bunch of different sports. Like football is one that they're really pushing right now.
Okay.
But I haven't really looked into it, but I know that I believe they had a feed of, the Mayweather-McGregor fight.
Yeah.
And I believe Vladimir Klitschko was doing commentary for them,
Okay.
which is really cool. So they do carry like mainstream sports and some less mainstream sports, but I haven't really looked to see what their packages are. But it's like I think they're $20 a month or something like that, right?
Which
and if I could get all the sports I
feels-
wanted, then I'd be fine with
Yeah,
that.
I'm not enough of $20 is a little bit too much for how much I pay attention to sports.
Yeah.
But as soon as you've got something like that,
I also watch a lot of niche sports. Like I don't watch
cricket. You watch cricket?
No, I do not watch cricket.
I
But
still don't understand cricket.
I watch. No, neither do I. I work with a guy who's big into cricket, and I had him explain it to me once, and I still.
It still doesn't make sense, even when you have someone who's really passionate about it.
Yeah,
and
like
they
maybe
explain
if
it
I watched a game and he was explaining to me what was happening
as it was going.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Because that's how I got my wife into curling. Like
Yeah,
I'm a
sure.
big curling fan, and she was like, "Why would you even watch this?" And then I made her sit down and watch a Briar with me.
Yeah.
And I explained why everything was happening.
Right.
And now she's almost a bigger curling fan than I am.
Curling's cool.
Yeah.
No, curling I could. No, Bell's crazy.
Yes.
Okay. What else we got? Netflix taxed.
So this is sort of a dumb thing. I don't even know why I put it. This is such a stupid story. So people are just talking. They call it the Netflix tax, but all they really mean is GST. And right, so this whole thing stems from a while ago, where the Netflix tax was they wanted to collect tax from Netflix in order to invest that into Canadian production of TV and movies.
Just like the government was going to collect tax from Netflix for the government to invest in TV.
Right, so they already have this, right? Like the CRTC or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, they have their CanCon and all their stupid things, right? So yes, the idea was Netflix was going to give the money to the government, and the government was going to go, aha, we are going to put this money is going to funnel directly into Canadian
I just laugh anytime you're like, I'm going to give the government money, and they're going to do this good thing with it.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Well, this is their idea. This
They're
is
going
what
on
the government
vacation.
said. Well, I mean, they've got a program set up to funnel money to people, right? I'm just saying they wanted to put more money into this, apparently.
A nickel from every dollar they collect will end up where...
That's more than it was. Right?
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah. Anyways, so there was a whole big thing about that. And then, there was debate about that. And now, really what it's come down to is, should we be collecting GST from Netflix? For the record, Netflix is fine with it. They're like, whenever you want us to collect GST, let us know. We'll take care of it. We will begin charging the company. Yeah. We will begin charging our customers 5% more than we used to be charging.
Well, yeah,
they do that anyway. Anyway, right? Like every year, I pay an extra $1 a month. Yeah.
Right.
Who cares? Although I did learn this today. So I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Geist.
Why do I know that movie?
The name?
The name.
That
might be a movie too.
He's a Canadian blogger who blogs specifically about like cable and media.
Okay.
And the internet.
Yeah.
Openmedia.org or .ca is his website.
Okay.
Anyways, so I was reading a thing that he wrote about this, and he's like, interestingly enough, GST consumers can self-report. It's actually written into the tax code, where if you feel like you are supposed to, like if a company doesn't charge you GST,
right,
you're supposed to report it to the government. Not report them, but like go, oh, sorry, here's the dollar I owe you from the GST on this. So he was saying there's a form. He like put a link to the form. He's like, if you are one of those people who believes that Netflix should be paying GST, here's the form you can fill out to send your money to the government.
To send the GST that Netflix isn't charging you.
Yes.
To the government.
You can just bypass Netflix, send it straight to the government. Right. So that's something I learned today that I thought was really interesting, was that technically the onus is on us as the consumer to make sure that the government is getting their GST.
I'll get right on that.
Right? Anywho, it's so stupid. But also, Netflix just, what's the word? Promised like $500 million for Canadian production. They're starting a production unit in Canada.
In Canada?
Yeah. It's the first one outside of the States, and it's like $500 million or something like that. It's a ridiculous amount of money. So, win-win, right? Like,
so Vancouver and Toronto get a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Calgary might get some.
Yeah. If they do any westerns.
They do any westerns.
This thing might.
Was any of Westworld filmed in Calgary?
I honestly don't know. I wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't shock me at all.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll.
So that was our abbreviated tech topic. We got that down to like 8 minutes. That was good.
That's not bad. We should.
The problem is we are too political for our own good.
Yeah, we got to start doing more of the fun stuff and less of the stuff that makes me like want to go drink in the bathtub.
Yeah, maybe we'll cut it down to like one political topic. Although I thought the kneeling one would be. The kneeling one's at least sort of fun. It's
funny. It's
less frustrating than other stuff, I guess. So, Kickstarter Crystal Ball. So let's start with last week's.
Kickstarter Crystal Ball. Wait a minute. My page isn't loading properly. There's still 0 backers? That can't be true.
That is true. So for those of you, I just put the screen up. Last week's 3D, 4D, negative 90. I'm assuming she means 290, but commas. And as we've established, not the best English here. Interactive movie theater phase 1, 0 backers, $0 pledged.
Come on, people, we gotta find.
I want 25,000 people to pledge $1 because of that stupid nameplate thing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to 25,000 nameplates.
25,000 nameplates.
How do you even have?
And they're already losing 15% to their mysterious benefactor, plus whatever Kickstarter takes. What is it like? I don't know what Kickstarter even takes. 10%, 5%. I've never Kickstarted anything or like ran a Kickstarter, so I don't actually know. I should know this. We should know this, considering we talk about Kickstarter every week.
All the time.
We should maybe know the ins and outs of Kickstarter.
We need to find a good Kickstarter.
To kickstart?
Yeah. We need to find a project to kickstart. Ah, here we go. Kickstarter fee, 5% of total funds raised. And then there's a payment processing fee of 3% plus 20% per pledge. So Kickstarter is going to take 23 cents out of every dollar. If you pledge $1, Kickstarter will take 23 cents out of that.
Sorry, read that to me again. How does that work?
So for every pledge,
Yeah.
3% plus 20 cents.
Oh my God.
So it's very much like a credit card processing fee.
Right.
So that's 3%, 3 cents, plus an extra 20. So they're down to 72 cents minus 5% of the whole off the top goes to Kickstarter.
No, they're down to 62 cents. Sorry, they're down to 85, less 23. 62 cents.
Yeah, so
That's their 15%
5 cents coming off. So 23 plus 5 more cents, 28 cents plus another 15 cents.
So where's that 5 coming from?
The 5% of the total.
Oh, right.
I'm going to bake that into it too.
Right.
So if everybody 25,000 pledge $1, they are losing 43 cents out of every dollar. Is already spoken for.
So 57 cents.
57 cents.
And you have to buy 25,000 metal nameplates. Nope. Nope.
The math is what convinced you this wasn't going to fly, isn't
Well, no, but I mean, come on. Like, I mean, obviously this wasn't going to go. I mean, hey, could turn around in the next 47 days. We'll check in with it in another 7.
Oh.
All right, let me switch. So we've got 2 options. Just, you want 1 or 2 without saying what they are? Did you look at either of them?
I just looked at the. I want 1.
Okay.
I want 1.
Okay. There's the problem we're having, guys, is there is.
Oh no, it was canceled.
Oh yeah, they both are.
What?
Oh well, the other one's on hold, I think.
No. Oh, suspended.
Suspended. You want to do that one? Doesn't matter. Like they're both. Like we can just make fun of this one because
Let's look at the number 1.
we can look at both since we were canceled and suspended. So number 1.
Why was Super Mario RPG 2 sequel? Is it okay? So Super Mario RPG the sequel RPG. So it would be Super Mario RPG 2.
Yeah.
The sequel to RPG
So Super
1.
Mario RPG is a game.
Right.
Super Mario RPG 2
was a legendary game.
does not exist. Well, yes, sorry, the first one was a legendary game.
And it legitimately was. Did you play it at all?
I've never played it.
It was a lot of fun.
Is that on the N64?
Super Nintendo.
No. Really?
Was it Super Nintendo? Oh, we can play that on our retro gaming.
Was.
Yeah, Super Nintendo. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
No, I never, like I watched, like I've seen gameplay of it. It looks really good,
Yeah.
but I never actually played it. I really thought that was on the N64 for some reason.
No. This is old school stuff. Good stuff. So this guy's saying there have been some very poorly developed sequels. And honestly, when I tried these, it felt like an insult to the original game.
So, like, what kills me? So where's the... Where is it? Damn it, I should have really...
I am not a coder. However, I know how to project manage, and with adequate funding, I know how to find the right people and manage them to make this happen.
So this is exactly the sentence I was looking for.
I figured that was the one you were looking for.
With adequate funding, he knows how to find the right people. So his theory
is
that Nintendo only needed $10,000 to make a sequel.
And Nintendo couldn't find $10,000 somewhere to make a good sequel.
They couldn't hire... Yeah, they couldn't invest $10,000 in a sequel to Super Mario RPG. This guy is on glue. Like all kinds of drugs. I don't believe.
Oh my goodness! There's okay. Sorry, I just saw pledge $100 or more, and you can add a character into the game.
Oh yeah, you go
Your
all the way
idea
down.
for a standard character will be created and put into the game so long as it is reasonable.
Yeah, well, gotta put that there. This will not be a main character or a boss. That costs more money.
Oh, tell me it's add a boss into the game for a main character for 10,000. Hang on.
If you pledge the full
full
grand,
amount,
you can add a main character into the game. There's 0 backers there, by the way.
what?
Like, obviously.
Obviously.
You can add a boss character for $5,000. You can add a map area for $1,000. Like, some of this isn't like a terrible. Like, add a character into the game, I think, should cost more than $100. In all honesty.
Okay, I think we're
I mean, this
attributing way too much weight to the term character, right?
guess.
This is an NPC that, a shopkeeper that you talk to,
Well, yeah.
right?
I mean, obviously, but I mean, if the character idea is suitable, at any rate. So, risks and challenges.
Yes, this is
The biggest risk of this project is a takedown notice for Nintendo. No kidding? No kidding. Well, it's a good thing Nintendo doesn't have a long history of protecting their IP vigorously.
There's a takedown notice already.
No, it's not there. The risk is that one could come.
Oh, that one could be. Okay, sorry, I read.
Yeah. With proper funding, so within his $10,000, he can consult appropriate parties to ensure this project is never a risk. Well, first of all, don't call it Super Mario RPG 2. I'll give that to you for free. I don't want any of your $10,000. You can't
I don't
call
want my
it
name
this.
attached to this anywhere.
Yeah. You can't call it this. You can't have a character that looks like Mario in your game. You can't have any asset that looks like it came from Mario in your game. You can't do those things. You might get away with it if you're Flappy Bird. Have you seen Flappy Bird? You remember Flappy Bird, right? It's like all of its pipes were just Mario assets.
Which okay, so has Nintendo actually trademarked those pipes?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I assume they would.
What? Fair enough. So
like you look at it and you're like, oh, a Mario level. Wait, what's this stupid bird?
What's this damn bird? The appropriate parties, by the way, are called lawyers.
Yes. Or for a lot of this, people who have common sense, who have the ability
to abandon this quickly,
the ability to look at this and recognize it as a bad idea.
Yeah, you don't actually even have to pay because if there was it's not a risk that there's a takedown notice.
There's a guarantee. There's going to be a takedown.
There's going to be a takedown notice, and it's not. See, that's not the project is in jeopardy. If there's a takedown notice from Nintendo, the project is dead. Like that's the end of it. If you've got 10,000 for legal fees, that's not going to cover it. That's not going to get you an exception. Nintendo's never going to buy onto it.
Yeah. Nintendo's not really known for being open with any
their
other
IP.
things. Their IP with their hardware, any of that.
No. Was canceled by about 7 hours ago. This was canceled.
Is there a FAQ here? Maybe it's.
Hey, they actually had $93 in pledges.
Yeah, it's been there since I found this a week ago.
So okay, there are like 8 people pledged $10 into this, and I mean, okay, so at the very first,
frequently asked questions. I'm interested in volunteering to help with this project. Can I help? Yeah, I bet you that wasn't a frequently asked question.
What are the comments? I don't mean to be a negative Nancy, but I would honestly recommend not to do this. So
okay, that's 1 against, 2 against. You are asking for money to make a game that uses Nintendo's intellectual property. If they cease and desist you, it's over. Period. You have absolutely no legal defense here. Even if you got hundreds of thousands of dollars in pledges and used your money to hire an enormous legal team with the best lawyers in business, you would have no case. Oh, hello, I'm pledging $1 so I can comment on this project.
Just saw this.
Okay, that's fair. That's how they got $98, or apparently you need to pledge to comment.
So that you can, yeah.
He's going to get his buck back, so who cares? Less than $100 after more than 2 weeks. People aren't as dumb as you think they are, Abby.
That's a little harsh. And fair enough. This wasn't going to go.
No.
But it is a nice idea, right? Like, the idea of it is fantastic. I'd love to see a sequel. I'd love to see a well-developed Super Mario RPG 2. That would be great. You're not going to get it done on Kickstarter. Like, as soon as it's great to daydream about it, and it would be great to see something like that. The problem is it'll never actually happen. You have to... Maybe if you, like...
Her sound was really screwed up there for a little bit. That's okay. On this scene, I forgot to remove something.
Oh, okay.
That I removed earlier, so we were sort of doubled up there a bit. So we were a little echoey, but whatever.
Echoey and big, real sound. My very narrow train of thought derailed.
Sorry, I can't help it. I don't know what happened. Something about how it's not...
This would be a great thing to see happen.
Yeah, it would be cool, but I'd like to see Nintendo.
So, okay, just spitballing about it. What if you, chose a character who was, like, a carpenter, not a plumber, and you... it was...
Well, I mean, he's got to look different enough. I don't know. I'm not an intellectual property lawyer. I couldn't.
I don't know. You could, if what you were coming to say, like, this project maybe would get there if you'd start off with saying Super Mario RPG was a fantastic game. We want to create that type of an experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't call it Super Mario RPG 2 because we would get our pants sewed off. And so we're going to call it something else. But this is our inspiration for the game, and we want to create an experience like this.
Yeah,
that would be the right way to do something like this. Now, having said that,
there's a Mega Man game.
10,000 is not going to get you anywhere near an RPG developed project.
I don't know. Maybe he thought he could use like. RPG Builder or something like that to make this game happen.
Even the amount of like story writers, content writer that you have to develop to get anywhere near that. There's so much work to
there's lots of issues with it.
Anyway.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find... There's actually a Mega Man project whose name I forget, but it was actually made by guys that worked on Mega Man.
Oh.
And it is awful.
All right, then.
I can't remember what it's called. I follow a guy on YouTube who sort of discusses game design.
Right.
And he had weeks of content discussing all the things that were wrong with this game. If I can find him in my... I think it's Game Soup. Let me double check.
Game Soup?
Yeah. Is this right? Is this the guy? No. Damn it. I follow too many of these things and I don't know anyone's name. Maybe this guy. This looks right. This is super boring. Sorry, everybody. Damn it. Why can't I find it? God, I can't think of the name of the game is also the problem. I can't just search it because I don't know what it is. I was hoping to get the name from this nonsense that I'm doing. Well, whatever. Whatever it is, it's basically a Mega Man game. Like, it is straight up. Like, if you look at it, you'd be like, oh, is this a Mega Man game?
Hey, it's Mega Man.
But Like it plays the same sort of way. Like I guess it's sort of. I mean, it sort of plays like a Metroid or whatever.
Right.
But like it looks like a Mega Man game, and like the mechanics are similar enough, just in terms of like how you get your powers and whatnot. But the game is broken in terms of design, like just broken. Like a lot of blind jumps. So like it just
I feel like that's what Mega Man was.
yeah, this game just
Fair enough.
just kills you, right? Like you're doing a lot of stuff where you have to like you have to jump down somewhere and then surprise spikes, right? Because you didn't know that you had to like jump off of like do like a wall jump or something also, right? Like just dumb things like that where unless you've gone through it, you wouldn't know how to get through it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Dumb things like that. So we want to look at the other Kickstarter real quick.
It's up to you.
This is oh, why is it suspended by Kickstarter?
So they were suspended back August 16th. I guess we're doing it, hey?
No, I didn't realize this was suspended back in August.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize this existed back in August. All right, whatever. We'll skip that. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that was we fell flat at the end there a little bit. That's on me. That's my bad. That's my bad. Hey, remember how funny Super Mario RPG 2 crap was? No, me neither.
Nope.
Me neither. Hey, remember all that stuff? Remember all that Energy East stuff? That was hilarious.
That was great.
That was the high point of the whole thing. So thanks for watching. If you've been watching live, if you're watching after the fact, also thank you. I'm really hoping that Facebook doesn't delete this because somebody forgot to press record. So I wasn't recording it locally except for like the last 40 minutes. Which sounds like a lot, but we've been talking for an hour and
a half.
Hour 20. So we're still half an hour less than last time. So if you are watching this anywhere, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it is twitter.com/BNZ Show.
B&Z Show.
Yeah. And, B and Z, because we're Canadian. And those are the only ones I'm going to tell you. If you find us, search for us on YouTube. Like, we don't have a URL on YouTube. If you want to watch stuff on YouTube, search for Bourbon and Zeppelins. Hopefully, we are a high hit on YouTube.
How many Bourbon and Zeppelins are there on?
I don't know. Maybe 2. There's more than one on Twitter, which is why we're not Bourbon and Zeppelins on Twitter. Yeah.
We're awesome. All right.
Anyway, so search for us on YouTube. If you like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Not because I want you to... I don't care if you watch our videos on YouTube. It just, we need 100 subscribers to get
our
a custom URL. And then we don't have to tell people, hey, search for us on YouTube. We can actually give like a youtube.com/something that's not a random string of letters and numbers.
We're we should do a Twitch stream, building our YouTube URL.
Yeah, okay, please follow us on Twitch so you can follow us on YouTube later.
Yeah.
No, just follow us on Facebook. This is the best way to follow us, I think. I think technically this went really well. I'm going to have to watch the stream afterwards, but I think it all went well.
Technically we did good.
I think our sound was better. I think our video was better. Our dropped frames is 0.
That's what I like to see.
Our drop frames last week streaming to Twitch was like 59% or something stupid.
59%?
Ooh. Like more than half of our frames
last week
dropped. What
was going on here?
Good thing no one watches us live right now.
Yeah.
Right? So anyways, hopefully I'm going to be able to download this off of Facebook and upload this onto YouTube.
Get it up onto our YouTube.
And get it onto the YouTube so it doesn't just disappear into the ether. Not that I think Facebook actually deletes things ever. But
where you can get it from.
Just in case. So to recap, thanks for watching. Please like our Facebook page, Bourbon and Zeppelins. Search for that. Or facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins, all one word. Like that page to get updates. We're going to have events. You'll never miss a live stream unless you want to miss it. And why would you want to miss this? It's like a party.
It's a party.
We are strong improvisers. Strong improvisers. Yes, and. Right, so Facebook, Twitter, if you want to follow us on Twitter. The only thing you're going to see on Twitter probably is just reminders that we're going to be going live on Facebook. If you have any questions or comments, you can either DM us on Twitter, again, twitter.com/BNZ show, or on Facebook. That's, like I said, that's probably the best place to do it. On our YouTube channel, if you find it, I guess you can send us comments there. Odds are we won't read those until it's way too late. The Facebook page and the Twitter page, at least I look at those. I look at those daily. So you'll get us there. You probably won't get us on the YouTube page that we don't have a URL for anyway. So we will see you in a week.
I'm working on getting subscriptions.
All right.
Working night and day.
Cool. Yeah, I only ever sent out one invitation to my friends to like our page. I was sort of waiting until we had like 5 episodes under our belt, and then I'm going to send out like a mass.
Because by the 5th, we're going to have this down?
Yeah, maybe. By the 5th, we might be able to do this in an hour. And
we're shaving less and less time tonight by
the
minute.
The more I talk, the worse it gets.
Getting all stressed out.
All right, so yeah, we'll have a fifth episode celebration. I'll actually bring bourbon. 5th
episode bourbon. Yeah.
If we make it to 5, I'll bring bourbon.
If we make it to 5.
That's the other reason I'm not inviting people to it. We might not make it to 5
because we might gonna crap out and
might peter out at 3. Who knows?
We'll have to see in 2 weeks.
We'll have to see.
All right.
In 1 week. You aren't going anywhere next week, are you?
Nope.
Okay. Not me.
No, but next week's just going to be 3.
Right, but
if we're petering out after 3, then we won't know until the 4th.
That's true. Oh, you've gotten me with your math tricks yet again.
The technical math wizardry.
All right. Watch us next week. Facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. We out.
Later.